Welcome back, coders. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Decode Healthcare with Harshal. I am so pumped for today's explainer, honestly, because we're tackling one of the absolutely most critical areas for your overall coding success.
So today, we're basically treating the official ICD-10-CM rulebook as a true masterclass. We're going to unlock the essential survival rules you need, not just to completely ace your 2026 CPC exam, but to avoid those absolutely devastating audit traps in the real world. Okay, let's just dive right into this.
All right, Section 1. The NEC versus NAS trap.
This first major contrasting pair catches so many aspiring coders completely off guard. So NEC, or Not Elsewhere Classifiable. Think of this as a strict book limitation. Your provider actually gave you brilliant specific details in the documentation, but the codebook itself, well, it just lacks a highly specific code for it. Then, on the flip side, we have NOS, Not Otherwise Specified. Now this is a documentation limitation. The book has the specific codes ready to go, but your doctor's note just lacks the detail you need to choose one. Bottom line to remember here, NEC means you have the detail, NOS means you don't.
Moving right along to Section 2, Decoding Punctuation and Symbols.
You know, these little marks completely change how you navigate both the tabular list and the alphabetic index. And the crucial point here, punctuation is definitely not optional reading. Square brackets in the tabular list enclose synonyms or abbreviations. But if you're in the index, they dictate mandatory secondary manifestation codes. Then you've got parentheses. These are your non-essential modifiers, meaning they give you some extra context, but they do not affect your code selection at all. And the colon? That's a huge warning sign. It tells you that you're looking at an incomplete term, meaning you absolutely must have one or more modifiers following it to make it a valid description.
Which brings us to Section 3, Navigating the Excludes Notes.
Now, I honestly call these the ultimate audit traps for double coding. Excludes one literally means not coded here. This is a strict brick wall, guys. These are mutually exclusive conditions, meaning they cannot be built together under any circumstances, no exceptions. But excludes two, that simply means not included here. These are totally different conditions, and you actually can build them both if the patient's medical record supports having both of them at the same time.
But hey, we can't forget the other vital instructional notes. Includes notes clarify the scope and coverage of a category. But you've got to pay special attention to code first and use additional code. Why? Because these force mandatory sequencing. Code first tells you the underlying etiology absolutely must be sequenced before the manifestation, while use additional code is your reminder to sequence that extra detail right after the primary condition.
Okay, let's look at Section 4, the with versus and rule.
These are easily the most subtle phrasing conventions in the guidelines, but man, they pack a massive punch. The word and in a code description actually means and or, which gives you a bit of flexibility. But the word with, or sometimes you'll see in, strictly dictates a linked causal relationship. And according to the guidelines, this link must be assumed. Take a patient who has diabetes with chronic kidney disease, for example. You don't actually need the doctor to explicitly state that the diabetes caused the kidney disease. The word with just assumes it for you.
And that with rule perfectly sets up Section 5, Mastering Combination Codes.
Because think about it. Once things are linked, you need a code that captures both pieces. A combination code is exactly what it sounds like. It's a single code that captures two diagnoses, maybe a diagnosis with a manifestation, or a diagnosis with a complication. A perfect example of this is E11.22. That one code captures both type 2 diabetes mellitus and diabetic chronic kidney disease, all bundled up in one single, neat code. But I have to give you a massive warning right now. Literally, never unbundle a combination code. If a combination code exists that fully captures the documented relationship, you must use it. Splitting a valid combination code into two separate pieces, that's considered overcoding. It is a major compliance risk, it will trigger severe audit denials, and for sure it is a guaranteed way to lose points on your exam. Just don't do it.
All right, bringing it all together in Section 6, our Part 17 Ultimate Cheat Sheet.
So for all you focused learners out there, I want you to pause this explainer right now. Seriously, grab a screenshot of this masterclass cheat sheet. It distills the absolute most critical conventions you need for your exam prep into one spot. Whether it's keeping your excludes notes straight or reminding yourself not to unbundle those combo codes, this right here is your safety net.
Now that you've mastered the conventions, the question is, are you ready to put them into action?
Next time, in Part 18, we're doing a deep dive into the 5-step, safe ICD-10-CM coding workflow, and that includes mandatory tabular verification. But before you go, ask yourself, how many times have you unbundled a code or ignored an excludes one note by mistake? Well, we are going to make sure that number becomes 0 real fast. Keep studying hard, and I will see you in the next one.